Hey there, and welcome back to Approved AF, the Mortgage Licensing Podcast, where we cut through the chaos of compliance and give you real stories and strategies that help mortgage professionals grow with clarity and confidence. I'm your host, Catalina Stepanov, and today I am joined by Chelsea Gardner, founder of Fully Aligned Marketing, a full-service digital marketing agency that helps mortgage professionals stand out online and actually turn content into closings. Chelsea is a seasoned marketer with over a decade of corporate marketing, a master's degree in marketing, and a proven track record of helping loan officers and brokers build powerful, compliant, personal brands that get results. If you've ever wondered why your content isn't converting, or how to make social media feel simple, strategic, and authentic, then this episode is for you. Let's jump in. Hi, Chelsea. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So can you share a little bit about your background and how you started Fully Aligned Marketing?
Yeah. So I am a marketer through and through. I have had the marketing itch since I was little. And then I got into owning my own pet store when I was in college and loved the marketing side of it. So ended up going for my marketing degree, my master's in marketing, and then just started my own business after being in corporate America for like 10 plus years, and have been with Fully Aligned, or have had Fully Aligned now for 4 years. So yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite things.
That's awesome. And who do you mostly work with within Fully Aligned?
Yeah, so we primarily focus with like the mortgage professionals. So your loan officers, mortgage brokers. We really kind of specialize in that specific field and area.
Mm.
Happenstance fell into it a couple years ago, and just that's how we got started in the loan officer space.
Excellent. So why is social media such a powerful tool for mortgage professionals today?
Yeah. So, social media, it's one of those some people love it, some people hate it, right? It's kind of one of those like necessary evils. When you are visible online and digitally being seen, right? People in today's world, your millennials and, younger, they're online and they're looking for their next person, whatever that may be, online. They're searching online. They're looking for information online, right? There's no more of this pulling out the yellow pages, or
Yep.
there's none of that. It's the yellow pages is Instagram, Facebook, it is social media. And so being present and being online is so huge for any business owner, honestly, right? Whether you are a loan officer or not. And so as a loan officer, being visible online is one of those things where you got to be able to be seen. You got to be able to put search results into your content. You got to be able to educate people. We know that loans, mortgages, they're not a sexy topic, right? People aren't just like, I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, your topic is not sexy, right? Like, people are not just, I'm going to go on Instagram, find me a loan officer. Like, that is not what's happening. So, being able to curate good content online and being visible and seen, that's what LOs really need to kind of dive into.
100%. I always say it to our boss. I'm like, the word compliance is not a sexy word. Like it's not good for marketing. Ugh.
Like the massive, it's always, because I always have to ask them, like, what does compliance require of you? Everyone's compliance department's a little different. And I'm like, some people have like 5 sentences that have to go at the end of everything. And I'm like, man, it's rough.
It
It's rough
is.
because you have to stay in compliance and it's not sexy.
So, when a mortgage company is first starting out using social media intentionally, what should be their primary focus?
Yeah. So their primary focus needs to be who they're talking to. So often I talk to people and I'm like, who is your target audience, right? Who are you trying to reach online? And they're like, anyone who wants to buy a house. And I'm like, No, that is a false statement. We are not trying to reach anyone and everyone that's trying to buy a house, because what happens when you are creating content for everyone trying to buy a house, you literally are targeting nobody, right? Because you're speaking so vaguely to someone on the other end of the phone that they're not going to know you're talking to them. You need to be speaking to someone individually on the other end of the phone. There's not a group of everyone scrolling social media together. It is one person, and you have to know who you're speaking to and how to speak to them and their pain points and their struggles and what they're looking for, right? So if you're trying to target real estate agents, your verbiage is going to look a lot different than if you're targeting first time home buyers or if you're targeting veterans, right? Because real estate agents, you're going to talk about their clients. Whereas talking to a first time home buyer, it might be more educational based around loans. It might be, hey, this is how I can help you get approval. So you got to know who you're talking to. And that's going to be like the first step when they're getting started.
And so a more targeted focus, even just to start off with, is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely think, and everyone's going to have varying opinions on do you narrow down into a niche? Do you not narrow down into a niche? And for me, it's like if you're just getting started, if you're trying to be all over the board, it's going to be way more complicated and harder to be consistent and share a message if you're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So narrowing into something and picking, hey, I'm going to target real estate agents, even if it's for 30 days, get into the habit of it if you're just getting started.
And what kind of content actually resonates with a mortgage company's target market? And what are you seeing that usually is just a flop?
Yeah. So, a few things, and it's going to kind of be relevant on who you are targeting. Educational content is still really great. Educational content is still really good, especially in our industry, because it's searchable. That's what people are looking for. People who don't know why they need a pre approval, people who don't know how to use a USDA loan or what the benefits of a VA loan are, right? So, putting out educational content, but in a fun way, right? Not just like, here are the 3 things you need to qualify for a VA home loan. Like that's boring. So instead, what I see working really well is actually sharing it from a personal standpoint, right? If I were a veteran, or if you are a veteran, like as a veteran, I would XYZ, right? Or if I were a first time home, if I was going back and buying my first home, this is what I would do today as a first time home buyer. Versus here are the top 5 things you need to know as a first time home buyer, right? It's a lot more like you're educating, but you're resonating with people because it's more personal and you're talking from a more of an I standpoint versus just here's five things to know, or here's the top 3 things you need to know, right? No, you're going in and you're speaking either from experience, or I have clients that, do X, Y, and Z. And I told them this is how they can qualify. And in 30 days, this is what we were able to do, right? It's personalized. It's not this just like, here are 3 things. So that's what's working.
So like the more generic it is, the easier it is to just get lost in the noise of all of the things that are coming in to our eye line, and making it more personalized kind of really hits the heart of someone who could potentially be your next client.
Yep, exactly. And another thing that I have found too, and how you promote the content. So, for example, we're sitting in offices or spaces, right? But what I have my clients do is I'll say, hey, what are like 3 things you love outside of work? What do you love to do, right? Maybe it's running or golfing or working out, or I love chickens, or I have cows, right? Or, whatever the case may be. And instead of sitting at your desk and filming that video on here's what I would do as a first time home buyer, go do something you love and talk about it, right? So as you're walking outside, or as you are, sitting and playing with chickens, whatever the case may be, do the video that way, because on top of it resonating as an I statement, now you're adding in something that's more humanized, that's not just you sitting at a desk. And people, even like if they're not listening to what you're saying, they might be like, oh my God, I love chickens, right? Like, and so now you're engaging with your idea. not have any idea that you're talking about first time home buyers, but they might be like, I love to run. Where are you at? Like, that's beautiful, right? Or whatever it is. So that's also truly impactful.
Do you think that that is a good way to segue between the educational component of your social marketing and your personal brand?
I
Is it
do. I
important to
do.
have a personal brand?
Yes, 1,000%, right? You want people to know, like, when they go to Catalina's page, who is Catalina? Outside of just what she does, right? Outside of just being a mortgage broker or just being a loan officer, like, find out more information about me. And I can still be relevant to marketing, but my background is all Chelsea, right? It's all like, you know, cows, chickens, being on the farm, wearing cowboy boots, being a special needs mom. Like, you are going to see that in the content, but I'm still talking about marketing. So that I think is where a lot of people get hung up because they're like, well, how much personal content versus how much business content? And I'm like, you can combine them. You can do 100% business and 100% personal all in one, right?
100% and
Because
100%.
right, like, you do 100% both every single
Yeah.
post because you just incorporate yourself into the content and what you're already doing or what you already love. And that is going to be impactful for people watching because social media is meant to be social, right? It's not meant to like just go and watch these like boring videos or watch these posts. You really need to engage and interact and be engaging.
Can you share an example of a client or a mortgage professional who saw real results from a smart content strategy?
A lot of my clients run paid targeted ads, right? So a lot of them will do meta ads directly to their audience. So we either they're real estate agents, past clients, pre-approved and lookings. Some will do direct to consumer. I currently have one client who is just killing it in the DPA ad space. Like she's just getting tons of calls, tons of leads for DPA. I think it's her area as well, but just killing it. And so when you pair something like that and you see that doing really, really well, then you want to also carry that organically over pages, right? So now we're posting organically about, the different down payment assistance programs that are out there and available in her area or in general, right? So when you see something, whether it's working organically or through pay, full effect of it. So I have another client that's doing a lot in the refi space. So not only is he doing everything on social media, paid ads, all organic posts are all refi related, but mailers, calls, texts, emails, the whole campaign is all refi. And that's going to give a huge effect, right? Because now you're hitting them from all angles. They're seeing the same messaging, the same stuff everywhere. And that's what we want, right? We want to be seen everywhere.
On the opposite end, what are you seeing mortgage professionals do that's just a social media mistake?
Yeah, and I think this one's hard because a lot of LOs just don't have the time to do the video content, to put in the effort to social media, and even hiring out, they still don't have the time, right? To do all of that stuff to help, a social media manager doing the videos, doing the content. So a lot of times, if you don't have the mix of yourself in the content, it makes it really hard to get that traction, right? So, not to say you can't put static graphics or, the images from Canva, things like that. We do that all the time for our clients, but you have to incorporate yourself into the content. If it is just graphics, you're not really going to go anywhere. Now the consistency will be there, right? So like the searchability, and that's a lot of my clients, that's what they want. They want to be able to be searched for online. So as long as all that SEO is going into the post, the social media part isn't the biggest key. It's the searchability on Google and things like that. But if you're trying to really focus on social media organically, you need to be in your content. And a lot of people just aren't. And I get it. It's a lot. Not we are full-time content creators.
And well, I guess a side question to that is you brought up the time commitment. How much time are you seeing people commit to their social media in order to have it be successful?
Yeah. So success is going to look different for everyone, right? So the people who maybe you see 50,000, 100,000 followers, they have a full-time team, right? Following them, doing video content, all of that kind of stuff. That's a full-time gig. Now, those that are doing organic social media and being present and actually engaging with their audience, right? That's going to be the key. Engage versus post. Like, your focus should be engaging if you're trying to really actually make those connections. I would say if you're putting in 1 to 2 hours a week, it does not have to be extensive, right? If you're putting in 1 to 2 hours a week, you can really kind of hone in on your messaging. You can create 3 posts easily a week. If you're doing video content, that should be like 5 minutes, right? Like, if you know what you're going to say, you can do it really easily in 1 to 2 hours a week.
Awesome. And what should brokers keep in mind so that they don't run into issues with the regulators?
Yeah, so that's going to be fully compliant related on their compliance team. So, really making sure that they're following any guidelines through ads. They have to go into the special ad category. Always making sure, like, I'm one of those, and I'm like, I would rather err on the side of caution. So, like, if you're unsure if you should be writing equal housing, right? Like, so all of that stuff kind of piece. But definitely if you're unsure, do it anyways.
Any red flags or mistakes to avoid when it comes to advertising, disclosures, or even testimonials online?
So always making sure, obviously, that you're adding in all of your compliance pieces, especially if you're quoting any rates. I usually recommend staying away from quoting rates just for that reason, because you have to go into a whole nother like lingo down at the bottom of your graphics and your stuff. But as far as like testimonials, things like that, if they're public, you're okay to pull them. I usually err on the side of like just using first name or first initial, last initial, right? Making sure if you are using like photos of people that you have their written consent that you can use them in advertising and stuff like that. But there's not much that like you can't do in terms of promoting like your services or yourself and things like that in meta ads.
How can a mortgage company turn just social media likes and follows into actual tangible business opportunities?
Yeah, engagement. Your likes and your follows don't really matter, honestly, right? If you have 100,000 follows and or likes, but you're not engaging with that audience, or you're not sending direct messages, you're not talking to them, you probably will never get business from them. But if you have 100 followers and likes, and you are actively sending them messages, and you are reaching out to them, and you are talking to them, your DMs, or you're giving them calls, you are going to get business from that. Social media is not like, I think a lot of people posting, I'm just going to get all these messages and leads. Like, no, absolutely not, right? Or if I hire you, Chelsea, like, you're going to get me all these leads. Absolutely not, right? You have to engage with your audience. You have to be sending them messages, commenting on their stuff. They aren't going to know you exist just by posting. You have to actually talk to them.
You can have a pipeline full of leads, but if you don't ever call them, 100%.
Yep.
What's one of the underrated strategies or features on social platforms that mortgage professionals should be using right now?
That's a really good question. I think this is gonna sound so bizarre, but I think for some people, I don't think all LOs can get away with it. I actually think some should try Pinterest. I know that's like the oddest, maybe the weirdest thing, but if you think about it, where do home buyers go to like home together or make their board of like their dream house or their dream, or when they're remodeling or all of that stuff? People build boards, right? So I think Pinterest is probably an I have not ventured into this with my clients, so I can't tell you I just think it's an underutilized platform that could be huge for some loan officers that really maybe target first time home buyers or like renovation style loans. Like it has to be a very specific niche. I don't think you can just go and, say, oh, hey, where I'm going to start posting about VA loans. Like I think it needs to be a very like niche person who really specializes in renovation loans or, first time home buyers and
It is a very underrated search engine.
yeah. And that's exactly what it is. It's a search engine just like Google, whereas Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, those aren't search engines. So Pinterest is an actual search engine.
And then how do you measure success on social media for your clients, and what metrics are actually the ones that matter? I know we talked about engagement versus follows and likes, but what are your metrics that you measure?
Yeah, so a few. And, one of the things that it's like, well, you shouldn't just pay attention to reach, right? Because you don't know if you're actually reaching the right people. In meta ads, right, there's going to be kind of two different worlds for me. In meta ads, reach is important if we're targeting custom audiences, because if we are directly targeting, let's say, your real estate agent list, we want to reach as many people in that list as possible. So if we have a list of 1,000, we want to reach 500, 600 of those agents. Organically, it's going to look a little different because if you are just looking at reach, well, we don't China for all we know, right? Like we don't know that. So, or if we are licensed people in California, well, that's not beneficial. So I kind of look at a couple of different metrics organically. One being, where is our audience, right? That's a huge one. If we are targeting and we're licensed in Florida, but the main followers are from California, well, then we're doing something wrong, right? Or if we are targeting first time home buyers that are between the ages of 25 and 35, but all of our followers are 55 plus, we're doing something wrong, right? So our messaging is off. So I talk to my loan officers that I work with, and what are people saying when you call them? What are people saying when you engage with them? Are they saying, I see you everywhere? Because that's going to be a key driver of, if you're really just kind of doing social media, then everywhere is going to be on their phone. So those are kind of the key metrics that I look at for paid ads and organic.
And then for brokers listening who are just feeling overwhelmed, they don't know where to get started, or they have gotten started, but they feel very stagnant or stiff in their social posts, what would you say is one simple step that they can do right now to either get started or improve where they're at?
Yeah, so one simple step, one would be log in. So often I get on the phone with a client who like doesn't even know their login. So one would be to log in. And honestly, I would start by just getting on stories. Share a story on your social media. It goes away in 24 hours, right? Get in the habit of just popping in on your phone, online, on Instagram, on Facebook, in a story, and just talk about your day or, a loan program that you offer. Again, it goes away in 24 hours. It's not on your main feed, and just start trying is going to be the biggest thing, right? So many hurdles are, it has to be perfect and I can't put it on my feed because it's not edited and, all of those things. So get into your stories. One other thing is making sure that your content is optimized. Again, making sure your email is right, your phone number is right, your company name is right. If like all of that stuff you want to make sure is optimized. So those are the two biggest things that I would say.
I think that is a awesome first step, that getting that muscle consistent of just, hey, you're making your cup of coffee in the morning to go up to your office to start work. Get on right there as it's brewing every morning. This is what I'm talking about today. Because you're right. It goes away in 24 hours. Don't take yourself overly serious where you become paralyzed by the fear of actually just getting started.
Yep, exactly. And I had a client that started that way, getting into doing stories before he kind of jumped into doing the video content. And he goes walking every morning, and every morning he would get on his phone and do a little story while he was walking about something random, right? Just whatever it was. Or he even, did talk about different loan programs, things that were going on in the industry. And then he ended up moving into video content, right? And he felt more comfortable actually recording a full on video. And they still can only be 7, 10, 30 seconds. They don't have to be long. But then he felt more comfortable actually posting it on his page. And so just getting started that way, I think is great.
This has been wonderful. Where can people find you to learn more about Fully Aligned Marketing if they want help building out their strategy?
Yeah, so I am literally on any social platform at Fully Aligned Marketing.
Wow, that's smart. Having the same name across all platforms so people can easily find you. What a strategy.
I know, right? Yep, makes it very simple. I am primarily on Instagram, but wherever you go, you'll find me at Fully Aligned Marketing.
Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. And again, we'll have more information in the show notes. So just click that little button and you'll get all of the contact information there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right. Big thanks to Chelsea Gardner for joining us and dropping real tactical marketing wisdom. If you got something out of this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with a colleague who could use a boost in their marketing game. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at approvedaf_licensing for more insights, behind the scenes, and upcoming guest clips. So until next time, stay licensed, stay compliant, and stay approved AF.